Call the Historic District Commission regular meeting to order Wednesday, July 2nd at 7 p.m. For purposes of the tape, would you call the roll, please? Alec?
Alec Kokoska.
Mike Brassfield.
Gary Roberts?
Angie Nagel.
Alex Stekeen.
Excellent, a quorum being present. We will move on to adoption of the agenda. The agenda has one item on it, one new business item on it, and our esteemed Planning Commission is here to discuss that. That'll be item 6. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as submitted?
Hey Gary, should we talk about the gold or are we good?
We can, do you want to add that? All right, well, that's probably a good idea. Under new business, let's add an item B, which is the Van Avery Mansion, paint and other issues.
So I'll motion that we approve the agenda of Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025 with the additional item 6B of the Van Avery Mansion paint and other issues.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have an agenda. Next item is the minutes, which were in your packet from June 4th. I think, Alex, you have a motion in there. Hopefully you got to look at that. If so, a motion to approve the minutes from June 4th would be appropriate.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from June 4th, the Historic District Commission, regular meeting as presented.
Excellent. Is there a second?
I will second.
Second by Angie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have approved minutes. Moving right along, is there anybody here in the audience that would like to speak to the commission here that is not for an agenda item? If so, yeah, can you please state your name and address for the tape, please?
Yes, Natalia Shoup, 32334 Franklin Road.
Yes, ma'am.
So I will be speaking right now, that is not on the agenda, and then when you will
Sure,
enter
sure.
into that
Sure.
subject. So the first thing I would like to address is that recently there's been certain officials allowed to construct fences in historic district illegally, without permits, without attending historic district commission approvals, ZBA approvals, without permits. And this has been, and the village, those certain village officials are ignoring the ordinances, village ordinances and historic district ordinances, and not enforcing them, even though they have all the photos, all the evidence that this has been done. They know it's been done, but certain residents are allowed to do that. And this is leading to what is on the agenda before you and has been before the planning since October. Now, those certain village officials would like for planning and for historic to confirm that changes needs to be made for those fences. So therefore, they don't have to enforce those ordinances for those residences. So there is specifically Pam Hansen, Trustee Hansen, and other trustees at the October meeting stating, move to the planning chairman, move fast. We need this. There's already litigation on their, becoming, so you need to move fast with resolving those things. So, and in November, Planning Commission already passed a motion not to do any changes to the fences ordinances in historic district. That's what was passed to you, that letter to the council, that recommendation just now, which I submitted before, but for some reason, you're just receiving it now. But it was withheld from the new council, and the new council had no knowledge of that, and it's continuous, like it's since October, like that motion never passed the planning. So that's where we are with this changes to the fences and other things in historic. And I just want to, I will be addressing more when that subject will become, but as of now, I'm here right now that to address that certain residents constructed illegal fences without permits, without approvals, without coming to Historic District Commission, even under the false pretense it's repairs, but even repairs have to come before this commission for the approval. And our family now is looking at this ugly fence just less than 2 feet away from our house, which is illegal, plus it's fire hazard, plus it's stockade fence that's, I don't think this commission would have approved at any point. But, and I just would like to add, so I don't spend much time, that I should have added this. My family and I are passionate about history and historic preservation. That passion led us to purchase a historic home in historic district, where we've become deeply involved in protecting the character and integrity of our community. I am also a proud member of both the Michigan Historic Preservation Network and the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions. So I know what it's to preserve the historic district and what's involved in it. So I will discuss further.
In your Ms. Shupir, primarily concerned about fencing?
Right now, it's fencing, but the other items is not even being discussed so often and thoroughly. It's just the fences, because the fences, those are the ones that, if you will be discussing other items, I also don't believe those setbacks should be there, just because we have to look as chairman at the Planning Commission through the lenses of every resident. And if we look at every resident, so small lots, with the ordinances have been written and rewritten so that a while ago, to especially eliminate the problems that, for some reason, all of a sudden, some members of the council, not all, asking to change those ordinances that especially were written for historic district. And at this point, I invited Planning Commission, the council. Now I will be inviting this commission to come to our property, walk around, look, and you will see our lot is not the smallest, it's medium sized. You will see that all of this changes, setbacks that being asked are not appropriate for historic district, because people with the smaller lots will be in hardship, and will be with, basically right now, if anything happens, we will not be able even escape the fire on that side of our property. That's number one. Number two, there's been challenges on that side with the foundation. For 4 years, we've been challenging that fence, old fence. Now there is a new one, because the engineers could not even fit their equipment there to assess everything properly. So again, I will be discussing that more, but right now there's a pressure on this commission, on the Planning Commission, from certain village council. My husband and I, we addressed that in October and November Planning Commission meetings in detail. My husband addressed in April at council meeting what has happened, and this should not be happening. We accomplished to eliminate those fences that we don't need. We encourage arborvitaes. we encouraged, so we only have 6-foot privacy fences left, just 6
Yeah.
in the district. And if you see in that summary from McKenna, which done at that time, a perfect report, perfect job. But then, after President Goldberg called McKenna after that meeting and said, we need to do something more.
Okay, let's do this. We're
I'm sorry.
just for the
Yeah,
first time, now, I don't mean to cut you off, but for the first time, we're engaging with the planning tonight, the issues, the broader issues of all the R3, which basically, they're the only R3 there is, right over here, okay? So we're just now getting into the issues. Fences, I think, is an issue, and there's things to talk about there, clearly. So, and a lot of these nonconformances, were established 100 years before the ordinance was even written. So, we have some special situations here that we have to deal with. And so Chairman Wooders was nice enough to engage us. We're gonna get behind this issue. Our planning consultant is here, and we're gonna just get into it and see what we can do to clean
Thank
this
you.
up.
Okay.
So
thank you.
stay tuned. Thank you. Thank you for your comment. All right, then, is there anybody else in the audience that there isn't really? Okay. So then we'll move on to item 6A, which is discussion of the zoning regulations for the R3 district. And Chris, I don't know if that goes to you, or should we go to Chairman Wooters?
So I think I'll just do a quick couple words.
That
and
would be
then,
great. No, because remember, we're just now kind of coming up to speed on this matter, so.
Right. So I'll defer to Chris for the explanation of the memo and things like that. I just wanted to just kind of we talked last month. I came to talk to you about this. We want to get it right. So anytime there's an ordinance that affects the villagers, our neighbors, we don't want to go fast. Okay. So because the ramifications of going fast tend to have consequences that are unexpected. Also, it doesn't necessarily give our neighbors time to actually come and talk to us. So I do appreciate the words you're saying, what you shared, but we're reaching out to you not to speed up the process. In fact, if anything, to have a more comprehensive way of addressing this. And since you and zoning have been more involved in variances within the R3 district, those are the groups that we're trying to reach out to, because we want to make sure that anything that we draft is relevant to those with experience, and they understand what's going on. So for that, with that regard, that's the flavor that we're coming from Planning Commission. I would like a consideration to create a joint task force to talk about this. We can have these continued meetings to discuss it, but outside of these meetings, it might be beneficial to have one or two voices from within that we can brainstorm and then take back to the larger group. And so that's one thing I'd like to consider. It doesn't have to be something we do, but it is something I'd like you to consider, because your group has a wealth of knowledge and understanding. We have understanding of the ordinances, but at the same, and we would have access to McKenna as well to get references from neighboring communities. So we could meet a small subset, nothing to make an ordinance on, but something that we could draft as ideas to think about. Then we can come back as a body and talk about as well. So that's something to consider while Chris is discussing. Think about that as an option. If it's not a great idea for your committee to join, then I understand that as well. But I just want to at least throw that out there, something to
It's
consider.
fine. We can always come up with a couple of members that would participate.
All right. So I'll stay right here,
Okay.
and then I can answer any questions. But Chris did a great job of drafting a memo for us.
He did.
That I think we're sharing pretty much the same thing with you. So
Okay, thank you, sir.
I'm going to refer to my March 21st letter, a lengthy letter. But first, I want everybody to be aware that the directive to look at the R3 zoning regulations came from the village council. And the council felt that the special conditions that exist in the R3 district, that special conditions exist in the R3 district, so perhaps the regulations regarding setbacks for single-family residences and garages, the regulations dealing with fences and privacy screens, and other regulations might need to be tweaked. And I also need to emphasize, with all due respect to Mrs. Shub, that this is not an issue solely dealing with Mrs. Shub and her next-door neighbor, the Hinnants. This is something that encompasses all 37 R3 properties in the village.
Yes, we understand that.
So in our letter of March 21st, 2025, we completed a comprehensive analysis of zoning regulations in the R3 district. Now, our conclusions, if you read through the letter, really boiled down to two sets of regulations that deserve attention: setbacks and fences. And with respect to fences, we found that, with respect to setbacks, we found that a substantial number of houses in the R3 district do not conform to the existing side or rear setback requirements. And when I say it's substantial, it's about 25% more or less. And if you read the memo from the Kelly firm, Dan Kelly, particularly item 4 on page 2, you see that when you're non-conforming, it has certain implications. You can't, particularly when you want to enlarge, move, or alter a particular piece of property, it has implications. And if there's a catastrophe on the property, for example, if it burns down, or if there's a tornado that wipes out the property, that has certain implications where you might have to seek a variance if you wanted to rebuild at the same place. So it's not a good thing to have a nonconformity on a piece of property. In addition to the residences, the single-family residence being nonconformity, we found that most of the detached garages do not conform to the minimum setback requirements. And when I say most, it's 75% of the garages don't conform to the setback requirements. So it's a substantial amount.
That's most, yeah.
So on page 2 of our letter, we present some ideas to alleviate the setback constraints. And I just wanted to briefly turn to page 2 of our letter and mention some of the suggestions. And I throw these out here more as ideas rather than say these are set in stone, because as I conclude my presentation tonight, I'll explain to you that these are really policy decisions on your part. It's your vision for the historic district that we're talking about tonight. And you have to decide what you want the historic district to look like. So, but one suggestion is with respect to the single-family districts, the single-family homes, the minimum side yard setbacks are 10 feet on each side, but the total of both sides must be 25 feet. So one simple revision might be to simply eliminate that total of both sides, and that would eliminate a lot of nonconformities. And just simply eliminating that requirement. Another option that could be considered is a reduction in the 40-foot rear yard setback requirement. A reduction to 30 feet would have a substantial and immediate beneficial impact on almost all the R3 zone properties. But particularly for 6 properties where the existing rear setback is between 30 and 40 feet. And when you consider that most people, when they consider adding on to their properties, generally are thinking about adding on to the back of their property, back of their house, a reduction of 10 feet might be quite a beneficial impact for a number of people in the R3 district. And then in terms of the garage, a simple solution there is to simply reduce the setback from 10 feet to 5 feet, because a lot of the garages are set back at 5 feet right now. And so I doubt that anybody is thinking of expanding their garage. If it falls down, some of them might not be in great shape, or a catastrophe happens, a fire happens, whatever. It doesn't make sense to make them rebuild at a 10-foot setback. You have, in that case, you have 10 feet of dead space between the garage and the property line.
We've recently had a garage application in the R3, and it was the smallest lot of that area.
Yeah, you're talking about Garrett Keys, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's doing a nice job there, it'll be fine.
Yeah, so that seems like a real simple solution to that particular non-conforming situation. Now, in terms of setbacks, or in terms of fences, I first want to mention what the definition of a fence is in the ordinance. It says it's a artificially constructed barrier that is allowed, can add a height of 4 feet to enclosed properties. A fence may be on the property line. Now, in contrast, a privacy screen, by definition, is intended to screen a selected use or area. So it may, and the privacy screen may be as high as 6 feet in height and may not be in a required yard or setback area. So privacy screen is not supposed to be on the property line. It's not supposed to be in the setback area. No.
Can I ask you a question? Doesn't that in and of itself create weird conditions right now?
Yes, because in the R3
You
district,
get these odd jogs, I got 2 back-to-back, I got a 10-foot widow strip that nobody's gonna maintain. If I do 5 and 5, right?
right, in the R3 district, there are 6 locations where there's a 6-foot-high fence/privacy screen that is on the property line. So I don't know what you call it.
Is that a nonconformance?
Yes, it would be non-conforming. Presumably, they were allowed prior to the current regulations taking effect. So they would be, I hope they were allowed prior to the current regulations taking effect, in which case they would be legally non-conforming. So this situation raises some interesting questions, which are listed on page 4 of the letter. Given the small size of many of the lots in the R3 district, does it make sense to allow privacy screens on the property line,
Yeah.
since it's already taking place, basically? On some lots, there simply is not a smaller selected use or area to carve out that is not within the required setback area. And if the village were to allow privacy screens on the perimeter of lots in the R3 district, what restrictions would be necessary to avoid a compartmentalized look that would disrupt the cohesiveness of the character of the historic district? That would be a concern of mine.
Yeah.
And should the style be regulated? For example, you wouldn't want a bunch of stockade fences on the property line in the historic district, as an example. So those are a few questions. If you wanted to, formalize the regulation of allowing privacy screens / 6-foot-high fences on the property line in the historic district.
And don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't the privacy screens, if I apply for one of those, I have to be screening something, my pool, it's not just some random,
That's right, that's right.
some random thing that I just want to make a stockade around my backyard.
Correct, correct. That's the purpose of the privacy screen.
And my understanding too is, cause we bought our home 13 years ago, and our home backs up to 2 businesses. One there was a privacy fence already there, and we actually okayed building partial privacy fence because it backed up to a business and it was okayed. So that would
Commercial
be another-
residential has to have some form of barrier, right, between a
Right.
commercial lot and
doesn't
a
have to.
residential lot.
It doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to, but
Thought
it is allowed. We were having
There
people
has to be some
wandering into
form
our
of
backyard, so that's why, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that's, there's a number of issues here, but let me go back to one of your very threshold questions about what do we want the district to look like?
Right,
Our job here is primarily an aesthetic judgment. We want the district to be preserved wholly like it is now. We don't want to create a bunch of stockade fences around everybody's backyard and create a different type of community. Look, we're making aesthetic judgments, and we want to preserve what we have, not in random changes. There are some things, though, that you raise great points, like a 5-foot privacy fence and another 5-foot privacy fence creates a 10-foot strip and encroaches over. There's things like that we do need to address. And we frankly, as a commission, have taken sort of the lazy way out. And I say that because we do a motion and says, yeah, we know the garage is there, but we're gonna approve it and recommend to the ZBA that they approve it. And that's how much thought, frankly, we have given it. We sort of turf that off, but there isn't really much else for us to do. We're not gonna advocate, we're gonna advocate for what's there and the logical decisions that we make. If somebody had done something very strange and wanted to encroach the property line, we wouldn't have approved it. In fact, we changed, the garage you're talking about, we made some aesthetic changes in our motion right there. So we're trying to preserve, we're trying to balance between what the real world is here and what the people in the district need to live with, and the aesthetics that we've, and practically, I've been on here way too long, but in my judgment, we have made a change to almost every house over there. And these guys have been largely along too. There's a lot of changes, but we've done it in a thoughtful and careful pattern. And that's what we want to preserve. That's what we want to do. I agree, it's terrible to have residents jump through extra hoops to go to a ZBA when we know that their garage has been sitting there for 120 years. And they want to add on to some piece of it or do something to it to make them jump through it. I agree with that. We need to streamline this process and make everybody smarter about the nonconformities. So I'm anxious to work with Stuart and his crew to get that done. And we will do that. I don't know, do you guys wanna chime in here? But please tell me if you do, because,
No, some of these suggested changes make sense.
Yeah.
Because the lots are not large to begin with,
right,
and the regulations don't really go with the lot size. I do think it needs to be revised.
right. And I think we need to be especially careful about the stockade fences
Oh,
and the privacy screens, because that's where visually we could really go off track if everybody is allowed to have a corral in their backyard that you can't see
Right,
into.
absolutely.
That would be terrible.
Not-
And there's gotta be some language, there's gotta be some way that, if I have a split rail fence and it's on the property line and I need to extend it or something, we need to be able to match the aesthetics of that. Not create something different and step up and down. Ms. Shoup has it, it goes up, it steps up, it goes over, it's like, this is crazy. We need to have some cooperative language in here, and I'm not for setting anything in 5 feet, frankly. Fences can be on the property, those lots are too small to take 10 feet away from them. Yeah, so we'll have to, those are the, sort of the high-level editorial comments that we have. that I think you could streamline this and make it better, so. We're for that, I appreciate your explanation there. Is there, and maybe this is back to Stuart, how do you envision this thing playing here? What can we do to move this ahead?
Well, I think Chris did a good job of explaining some potential ordinance changes with regards to, especially the setbacks for detached garages and things like that. And then also, we do have a fencing ordinance that sets out criteria and maximum height for fences and type and style of those fences are supposed to be adhered to. I will say that there's quite a few homes in the village that do not adhere, quite a few chain link fences that are not actually part of the approved fencing material.
And those are easy, you just write those out of the script.
Right. And so we're not asking to update and modify those type of things. The question actually I would have is if there are things that are non-conforming from the existing fence law, not privacy screen alone, set that aside, but how would you want to handle existing fences that might not be non-conforming from the existing ordinance standpoint? And so these are kind of some of the discussions. So if there are chain link fences downtown, and they've been chain link fences for the last 100 years, then how do we handle those? If there are, things like that where we're we do allow chain link for, or metal wire fencing for garden fences, right? So we've made an exception for garden fences. There's a call out for that. And there's also setbacks for garden fence. I know it's not been specifically talked about here, but people downtown also want to have gardens, and so in the R3 district. So this is a little bit, there's quite a few topics here that we want to make sure that we cover and not just leave anything out. We don't want to do a pet ordinance discussion. We want to be holistic for all the R3. So anyway, so that's why I was recommending maybe we have Linda here, who is our zoning liaison for planning. We always have a zoning liaison as part of planning commission, and so we'd like to create some sort of task force to go over this. We could just do, if we want to make it part of your meetings, if you have time, we could do that then, and we can continue conversations.
Because that brings together our quorum, right? So we get, as opposed to just one or two of us. I like the fact that, and our agendas aren't usually all that crammed where we can't take 15, 20 minutes and deal with you. I like the input better than a private thing here. And Ms. Shoup will be notified, it'll be a public thing, and she is welcome to comment.
Well, and everything that would come from those meetings would be brought before everyone anyway. But yes, I think it simplifies people's time management if we're able to take time. Our meetings sometimes get involved with other things. In addition, I know you do as well. But if we could piggyback with your meetings, if you're okay with that, since it impacts you, I'd like to also include members from zoning as well to also be in the audience for part of these discussions as well.
Sure. And we have great respect for Chris and what he brings to the table too, so I'd like him to be, on the nights that we're doing that, it'd be nice if you could come to that.
Yeah,
So,
that would be-
because you have a more, integral knowledge of the.
Well, and you can he can help us with research from regards to what our neighboring communities how they're handling their historic districts in this regard as well.
Well, that was one of my questions, and Chris, I know you're strong in Northville. We don't need to reinvent the wheel here. I mean, is there other districts that we should model after for some of these things as opposed to creating?
I'd have to do some research on setbacks, but I can tell you on fences that every community is different. Fences are all over the place. Every community argues about fences.
Okay,
I built a lot of.
you built a lot of fences? Yeah.
In Northville, I built a lot of fences.
Oh, okay. Well, Northville is a high-quality HD as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
And Jim Allen and those guys do a great job over there.
yeah.
So, all right, well, I'm just saying, as we go through it, we shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel
Yep.
necessarily. We can point to some places that are
Okay.
pretty good. I don't care if we look at Williamsburg, we can look at anywhere. But we wanna establish it, right? And I know there's some chain link right over here that's been there for as long as I can remember, and, right, hopefully it falls down and they can't put it back up. That's what I do.
Right.
But, we can deal with these individual things. So I think that's a good idea. If we can add some specifics to the agenda item that we can look at ahead, or like your memo here was great for us to reread and see, you know, to get a little bit of leg up on how it goes and Ed Kelly's thing. And then we'll just kind of bust our way through this.
So the direction I'll go back to council and with planning with on this regard is that we'll utilize your existing time as part of your existing time to address ideas of how we can handle the R3 district. And since you are the most appropriate body with regards to how the aesthetics of the downtown look and feel, it makes a lot of sense. And so I appreciate you being willing to do that. And honestly, I really like to think that we're setting the example of communication across
I
government.
would think so, because, you know, like when you say we take the easy way out, it's not like we have all the information from zoning to like inform ourselves about that. So like if someone were in audience of our meeting, they'd be able to advise us.
Which is
not-
why Linda's here.
Yeah.
She meets, she goes to every single zoning board meeting, and she's been part of, I'm speaking for you. Do you want to?
We're not empowered to grant variances.
Right.
Right.
We couldn't grant one if we
Well,
wanted to.
we actually can't either.
You can't either, that's right.
Yeah, we're not allowed to. So as far as variance goes, that's zoning that does that. And we can help draft ordinances that don't require the variance, or which do require a variance, vice versa. But those are only recommendations that we make to council, who ultimately will accept or reject those recommendations from us. So we may draft the ordinance, but our ultimate legislative and executive body is the
They're the only ones that can
planning.
enact
I was
the
is
ordinance.
council.
Yeah, they have to enact the ordinance.
That's
no
right.
question.
And then they also have to enforce it too. So we actually don't enforce the ordinance. You don't enforce the ordinance, you make recommendations for the ordinance to be enforced. It's the same situation. So, all right, well, this is, because I think even with zoning, we're not accepting this, and someone goes ahead and does it, it's still up to council to enforce the recommendation from zoning. And, because we're all appointed bodies from the council.
And generally speaking, Monsieur, we have had good results when engaging our building official, when we've got a couple of issues right now where he's going back and asking people to remove and tear things off and fix them per our ordinance, okay, so.
Sir, even with the attorney, it was not resolved. We moved the attorney and it was not resolved.
You wanna come up and- sorry.
So I just want to say.
This is with regard to the fence with Mr. Hinnett.
Just built in April. And Chris, if I may call, or Mr. Dixon, with all due respect, it's not, at this point, it's not about us or Mr. Hinnon or Mrs. Hinnon. It started that way, as you know, in October. That's why the council was asked, because they did not want, they wanted to move the fence even closer to our property, which would leave just 18 inches for us. That's how close property line.
18 inches from what?
From our house to the property line.
So you're already a big nonconformist.
Right, and they wanted to bring that fence closer to our property, which ZBA denied 3 times in the last 4 years. They said Hinnons have enough space to move 10 feet, which ordinances require, setback for that fence. So right now, they build in April 1st, new 6-foot privacy fences, not screens, fences, less than 2 feet from our property, from our side of the side of our house. And it's our more than 50% view from our main windows, living room, kitchen, dining room. It's stacked fence, the cheapest one, which did not go for approval through this commission. There's pictures right there. If you want to look at some of them, I provided to a planning commission. We provided to the village administrator, to the whole council, to the building official, to the court officer, to the police. Everyone, when it was building, that fence was constructed at the point, everyone told us, it's just a repair.
Well, that, I was gonna say to you, we do this quite regularly. If you have if you're taking like color and like material and taking one off because it's broken and putting a new one on because it's new, we don't require approval.
It's not, sir, we have videos. It's been a completely new construction. Some even taller than 6 foot 6 foot high. All the posts, and plus, to make matters worse, the finished side is facing not us, it's facing the Hinens. So even the ordinances state the finished side, the better side, should be facing the neighbor. And it's not. And so right now, this is all this uneven fence, at some point even higher than 6 foot. Now, the cheapest material, I believe me, this commission, this would not approve. That fence now is being installed, and, but the one facing Franklin Road that they installed is facing with the good side. So they knew the differences.
Oh, okay, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but we're not gonna go into these point by
Right.
point
No,
tit for
no,
tat with
I
you,
understand.
because it's just not appropriate right now, and we're not having the jurisdiction over that. But you raise good points that we can certainly take up as a part of this process about finished sides and setbacks. 18 inches away, that's a different matter.
No, no, it's less than 2 feet. They didn't
Is
bring,
it 18 inches to your foundation or 18 inches to the property line?
okay, so they did not bring closer. As of now, this is 2 feet or less to our side of our house,
To the physical wall.
to the physical wall. Yes.
Okay, so then they
That's-
must be on your
And
property.
ZBA,
is that
no,
correct?
no.
It's the.
If it
old
was on a
house.
property, so between the property line and the fence, there's less than a foot left. So Hinens have less than a foot left between the property line and the fence. Again,
have
there's
to be
already
outside.
widths 3 feet
Have a zero.
high, and they cannot come unless
Getting
they,
the fire thing there.
so, and that's why ZBA established that the ordinance's 10 feet setback is appropriate and should be required, because it's a lot, they have a space and we don't.
Okay, well, you are a good example of some of the things we need to discuss. So I appreciate you raising those, and you'll certainly be notified, because it'll be held, as the chairman just said, we'll be doing this here at our published meeting, so you'll know. You can just walk across the street.
Yeah, and again, I'm not gonna, of course, read now what I already wanted to address, but if I may, just couple things, and,
Okay, if you
as
could
far
just
as-
hold that to like 3 minutes or 4
I will
minutes.
try, of course. That's why we have number 7 in fences ordinances. No fence shall be erected where it would prevent or unreasonably obstruct the use of or access of adjacent property. The building official may require a fence to be set back up to 2 feet from a driveway or property line to provide a safe passage. So again, the ZBA, that's why we have ZBA, they are the ones who will establish. It doesn't have to be 10 feet setback, as ordinances state. They will take a look and say, oh, you have 10 feet setback, or they will just say 2 feet is enough from the property line, if that's the situation. So that's why we have to trust our ZBA commissioners. They go thoroughly through all that. And plus, right now, we are an example of another fence materials and construction pattern must be consistent along a single lot line. Right now, on that just one lot line, what we have, and it's approximate, 36 feet white picket fence, 3 feet. Then we go 6 feet or higher stacked fence, the cheapest material, for another 100 feet. Then we have dangerous broken chain link fence from the 50s, another 40 or 60 feet. So one lot line has all of that. just that. So somehow we have to, I do believe our ordinances are written properly. It's just the execution and enforcing them. That's where the problem comes in.
But some of those
here.
things need to be cleaned up. When you have, there isn't anything that specifically says you gotta, you gotta extend an existing material. The old ones are non-conforming, so we need to clean that up, and we can. I think we can.
Okay, and again, so I'll just read, and I know I go above just the last paragraph. I would like, our family would like to extend invitation to the members of Planning Commission, the HDC, and Council. Please come to our property, walk around the grounds. We're confident that seeing the situation in person will make clear that no changes to the ordinance are needed, the ones that council is asking, and that any changes made to accommodate the few will hurt many and damage the long-standing vision of for our historic district. So, thank you for your time and dedication to preserving our community.
I can't speak for Chairman Wooters, but I would think that some field things for this committee would make a lot of sense, and we can do certainly.
Pictures, it will not tell you the whole story.
Sure, sure.
But walking once around will do.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Chairman, is there anything else you would like to have as a part of this right now?
No, I think,
All right.
unless you have more questions for us, I think we're good for now.
No, and I'm okay as we establish the next agendas with the clerk or whoever's going to be the clerk. We can establish what the points are that you want us to take up. We just want a little notice so that our people can have some time to internalize what we're.
If we don't get something a week before our meeting, we tend to not cover it because we need time to.
Same here too.
Right, so I definitely respect. Fortunately, we meet well before you, so if something comes up in planning, hopefully we have the 2 weeks remaining or 1 week remaining to be able to get something out to you.
Very good.
So,
All right. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Appreciate your time. We're going to move on then to item 6B real quick, which is the Van Avery Mansion. Now we have yet another new twist. Bill Denon did speak with them about the brick,
Yep.
and they're supposedly changing it to the stone, field stone, as per our motion. Now, the gold thing is, I guess, in the same category. We'll have to ask Mr. Denon to ask them, where did you get this gold leaf idea? And we'll change it again, okay? Do you want to, are you gonna see him, when will you see him? No, you won't.
It'll be Monday because Friday's
Yeah,
the holiday.
right, exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah, it'll be Monday.
Well, could we just turf to you and say, could you
Yeah.
send the picture? Did she get your picture? Can you send it,
Send it to me.
send it to her?
It's newly painted today.
You'll love it. It's
Yeah, it's
wonderful.
enjoyable.
Shocking.
And is anything like the stone they put up in it?
Oh, no, this is even
No,
more
it's-
garish than that.
It's
Gold spray paint?
gold spray paint around the top of the columns.
But actually,
Yeah, you own, they're like, what?
I almost got in an accident driving by, parked, walked back to go
The
look.
Gilded Age that we are now.
yeah, they never got out of it.
Yeah.
So it matched the window sills they had wanted to put up originally, those gaudy.
Oh, no, we took care of that right away.
No, I'm just saying, that seems like it's the age he wants to be in.
Right, they're highlighting that.
There's some cross between the Renaissance and the Gilded Age and an early American building ain't making it.
Should be in your inbox.
Yeah, Mr. Duzen, I'm sorry, I should have asked you, should we do anything else at this juncture, or?
Yeah.
No, I think what I'm thinking is we'll talk at the planning commission level and maybe make some recommendations of steps to take
Right.
and forward those to you.
And we'd love to clean this up. You know, she describes, that is ugly to have 4 different fence materials in 200 feet. That's crazy.
It did come before us for that chain link fence probably in 2019 or 20.
I was remembering when that was.
And it was,
It was.
it was a video meeting
heated.
during COVID 2020.
That's
and
right.
Yeah.
That's,
It
Have them over.
led to where we're at
Have 'em
today.
over for dinner.
So they did try and get that cleaned up all the way across.
But she applied for the gate
Yes.
Yes.
The
There's the gate.
Palace of Versailles entry, she wanted to put there and we.
I don't know all the details of the hen and shoe
There's a
fair,
lot,
but
there's a lot.
It's heated.
Lawsuits and
Yeah.
You know,
it's so complicated that
when you're bringing
you'll never sort it out here.
Yeah, probably should gavel us.
All right, so we're leaving the gilded columns to our esteemed clerk for the moment. We're gonna let to see what Mr. Duzen comes up with for agenda items that we should study. And if we can get it out to us in our packet ahead, like you did this time, which was great, which gives us some reading material, we'll be a little more prepared to discuss it, okay? Anybody else have anything else that you wanna add on that? All right, then, I think at whatever time it is, 11:50, we're adjourned.
I do think it's a good idea